Welcome to the Coach Sing Show, offering you the latest creative content marketing tips to help you work less, earn more, and help more people. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come to discover the latest industry trends and partner with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachsing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coach Sing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and this is the show we help you, coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. And my guest today back with me is Tara Butler Floch. We're going to talk about, this is sort of another piece of content marketing that we haven't really talked about very much. We talk about writing blogs and podcasting and videos and all of those great things. But at the end of the day, if you're a coach, you also need to enroll people into your programs and services. And so Tara is going to talk about how to have those conversations in a way that inspires and invites people to want to work with you. And I think that this is kind of, when I think about content marketing, this is, for coaches, it's probably one of the most important pieces for us of marketing, which is to actually go ahead and get the enrollment. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. For those of you that missed episode 138, I encourage you to go back and listen to that one. Tara Butler Floch is known as the coach's coach, and she believes it is never too late to be what you might have been. She's helped emerging entrepreneurs take the courageous leap into business ownership since 2000, when she started her coaching and training company after being a sales and marketing executive of 3 global companies and managing teams of up to 80 people. She's always been passionate about helping others fully step into their potential, passion, and gifts, and she's used her deep knowledge of business development, marketing, and branding to help hundreds of clients launch from the corporate world into entrepreneurship. And you can visit her. Actually, where are we going to send people today, Tara? Where do you want to send them?
You can go to broadviewcoaching.com. I'm going through a branding change, so broadviewcoaching.com.
Excellent. And we'll put that link on the show page. Tara, welcome back to the Coach Sing Show.
I am so happy to be here. As you know, Doug, I just love being in conversation with you, always.
Thank you. Same here. So yeah, let's talk about, let's start with enrollment conversations. I guess one of the things that you told me that I did not know, which is that which was that was it coaches 1 year out only have one client, like on average? Is that right?
Yeah. It's what I call the dirty little secret of the coaching industry, is that all these people go to coaching school. They get so inspired. I found my life's calling. I'm going to quit my job and become a full-time coach. And a year later, the average certified coach has one paying client. And that's part of why I am so passionate. I've been a coach for a very long time, and I moved to coaching coaches about 6 years ago. I've been coaching entrepreneurs for about 9 and really focused in on coaches because I like being part of that ripple effect. And it is just a personal frustration of mine that the coaching industry is still telling people, oh, just, give away free sessions, do a sample session for people, just invite people to have a sample session with you, and don't teach them anything about really enrolling people to work with you. And
right. So what are, I mean, I know this is a topic that will be of interest to just about many coaches. So what do you, I think you started to touch on this. What are the biggest mistakes that coaches make when they try to start having these enrollment conversations, or, doing free sessions, or whatever it is they're trying to do to get people into conversation?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, the thing that's so interesting to me is that by its very nature, coaches should be curious. That's like the one skill you really should have as a coach, is to be deeply curious about other people. And yet what they're taught and what their instinct is to do is to tell people about, oh, I do this. You should come work with me. Come have a free session with me. And they kind of pounce on people. It's really what I call the push versus pull. They push people. Come have a free session with me. Come, this is what I do. And boy, I think you could really benefit from it. And it sort of is that opposite thing that really at its heart a coach is about. And client enrollment is really about pulling people towards you, and through curiosity. It's really about engaging people. I mean, first of all, to even invite them to have an enrollment conversation, the first thing you should do is just be curious. What are your biggest challenges? What do you struggle with? Getting in dialogue with people and focusing on them and having them have an experience of having somebody focus their curiosity and powerful questions towards them. And that opens up oftentimes an opportunity to have, an official client enrollment conversation, or what I call a breakthrough session, otherwise known as a strategy session or a discovery session.
So how do you feel about doing those? So, exactly those, like whatever you want to call it, but do you think coaches should be doing free discovery calls? I'm curious about your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I do. And I think it needs to have very strong intention.
Got it.
I recommend a formula that I can quickly talk about.
Sure.
Which is all question based. It's starting with background questions. And by the way, I have people fill out a little, 4 or 5 questions before they have a session with me. So I know, first of all, what their situation is. For me as a business coach and mentor, I look at their website because I want them to walk away with value no matter what. So at the heart of it, you need to give value for people to understand the value that you can be for them. But then, to really, the format is asking background questions. Have you ever had a coach before? Have you ever had a business mentor? What was that like? That kind of thing. Then to ask challenge and issue questions, and also that what they really want, their dream questions. So what are the biggest challenges you have in building your business? What are the issues in enrolling clients? What do you really want? If you could wave a magic wand, really getting to where they are most struggling, and then to talk about the implications of those. So asking implication questions of, what's the impact of that? And basically what the purpose of that is to paint a picture between where they are and where they want to be, and illustrate that there's this big gap.
Right.
That, by the way, you might be able to help them fill. So the implications are like, what's it costing you not to move forward? 3 years from now, if you had an easy button, what would it look like? And really exploring that gap, basically.
I think
and then
that's
once you're clear,
brilliant.
I'm sorry?
No, I think that's brilliant. Like, you have to get that gap between where people are and where they want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because sometimes even, let's just use an example of like a weight loss coach. Most people a lot of people in the United States want to lose weight. A lot of people have tried to lose weight in different ways. And what's going to have me sign up for yet another program? And it's actually realizing that like this person can specifically help solve the particular challenges and issues that I have, that they understand my dream. They understand what gets in my way. And what's great about these conversations is it also helps a coach realize if they're not the right coach for them.
Right.
And they can point them in the right direction so they can get value no matter what. But once you do the implications, then you want to ask how committed they are. This is one of the biggest mistakes. You're asking earlier about mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes coaches make is they enroll people or get people to say yes, maybe even persuade them or influence them to say yes, but they're not really committed. And clients that aren't committed don't show up fully, and they make us doubt our gift, or they don't show up, or they cancel, or they all sorts of different
or they
things.
blame us. That's one too.
Yeah, absolutely. You're supposed to fix me.
Yeah.
So really making sure they're committed. And you know what? I always say to people, if they come back as a 9 or 10, I say, great, because that's what it takes. And if they say I'm a 6, I go back, I either call it and realize this is not a good fit, or I go back to the issues and implication questions to see if their saboteurs are getting in the way from them really being committed. And then finally, it's doing the resolution questions. So instead of going for the big pitch at the end, is to actually say, well, if I could help you do X, Y, and Z, is that something you'd be interested in? And to really always wait for the client to say yes. It's we have a tendency to be like, ooh, you're a good fit for me, so let me tell you about my program.
Right.
And they might not want to know about your program. You want, it's like I always say, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. So how can you really lead them on this path to get them to a powerful yes? And make you realize too that, is this a powerful yes for me? Because it really is a mutual commitment that you're making here.
Right. It's a two-way street. You're going to be working with them too. How about if I'm curious about your thoughts about resistance, or about if someone says, for example, you say, so does it sound like something that would you like to know more about it? And they go, I don't know, or something to that.
I always call it, I'm a very forthright person, and I say, wow, it doesn't sound like you're very, very interested in it. It's really very interesting because I do not tell people about my program unless they ask. And sometimes when they ask about my program, but they've just said that they're a commitment of a 6, I'm like, I'm not going to bother to tell you about my program, because you're not, it's like, let's just end the conversation now, because I don't want you in my program if you're not committed.
Right.
And, this is an honor to be in my program, and it's an honor for me to work with people who are really committed, and it's probably just not a right match. So, I think that when somebody shows up that way, where they're like, yeah, I guess, tell me about your program. I don't just say, okay, here's my program. I say, wow, I sense that you weren't super enthusiastic about hearing about my program. Are you sure you want to hear my program? Is it a powerful yes to hear my program? Or are you just being polite?
Right.
And, what's cool about that is, at the heart of it, for coaches, we are here to help people build their self-awareness so that their actions and their words and their thoughts and their beliefs all align. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is having people make a powerful choice, powerful yes or powerful no. I don't like it when people slink off into the night and, say, I'll let you know, and then I never hear from them.
Right.
Because I actually don't think that's good for them. I think there's not enough of that in our world. I think people think it's, quote, polite to just disappear.
Yeah.
And they think it's more kind to disappear. And it's actually really unkind for people to just disappear and have people guessing. So I always encourage people to really go for the powerful yes. And I am committed as your coach in this moment for you to make a powerful choice. And I'm not attached. I want you to make it a decision that's going to work best for you. I would love to work with you from what you've shared so far, but only if it's a powerful yes for you. And it has people show up in a different way.
Yeah.
And even if it's your follow-up, even if they have to think about it, to be really intentional around that. Like, don't just let me know. Like, let's have a conversation on Tuesday. If you change your mind between now and then and you've figured out it's a powerful no, great. Let me know and we won't meet. If you still have questions and that you'll need to figure out in order for it to be a powerful yes or a powerful no, we'll spend some time on the phone on Tuesday to go through that. And then I give them some questions to think about and marinate in between now and then so that they can make a powerful choice. And there are a lot of people actually who said they've hired me just because they could tell that I was going to show up as a powerful presence for them, for their truth. And so it is a very enrolling process if you really show up for the other person in that way.
It makes a lot of sense. And I think then that's the one thing that personally drives me crazy is, like, I can take a yes, I can take a no, either one is fine. But the thing that I'm also realizing, like, that I just am not tolerating anymore is just the, well, maybe, who knows? And I think what you're saying is, like, if somebody sounds like that, like, to really call it, say, okay, so it sounds like maybe it doesn't sound like you're very interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, speak the unspoken truth.
Right.
because it is giving people, I really do believe as coaches in the world, our job is to help people step into their authentic self and to let the elephant sit in the room and pretend it's not there is not honoring that person, and it's not honoring yourself.
Yeah.
It's really powerful to say, wow, this is what I'm noticing. And there's also a way that you can set up this conversation. I start, we're going to spend about 30 minutes together. My goal is to get you some deep learning about where you are, where you want to be, and what that gap is, and some strategies around how to fill that gap, and decide whether we are a good fit to work together. If we're a good fit to work together, we'll continue to talk for 10 or 15 more minutes. And if we're not, I'll bless you on your journey and send you on your way. And my goal is to get you to a powerful yes or a powerful no. So I set that up right from the beginning because I think it sets a tone for them standing in their truth.
Right. I think that's great as well, because one of the things I'm interested to see if listeners can relate to this, but one of the things that's happened for me, especially when I first started coaching, sometimes it would be people who found me somehow. They go, "Hey, can we chat for a little bit?" And then I found that it wasn't defined, like I kind of boxed myself in a corner because I hadn't defined what is this? Is this an enrollment conversation? Is this you picking my brain? Like, what is this? And,
Yep.
and so I think that's great to really define it. I'm also curious, Tara, do you have a process of, for example, just kind of vetting people before you have the conversations?
Yeah, like I said, I do have about 4 or 5 questions. I think it's 5.
Yeah.
That I ask people. And what's great about that, as an example, when I did a speaking engagement recently, and as you can imagine, since it's something I teach on, I have some efficacy with it.
Yeah.
So there were 38 people in the room, and I made an offer to have a business breakthrough session, and 18 people raised their hand. And I knew that might happen. So I said, I only have 9 slots. So I'm sending around the clipboard, 18 people signed up, but I will send you a few questions, which I will do before our session anyway. I asked them the exact same questions I would have before talking to them anyway. I'm going to send you a few questions, and I will pick the people that I think I can really have the most significant difference with. And what's interesting is only 9 people, and I had 9 slots available, but only 9 people actually answered the questions. And it was a great vetting process. And not that those other people don't potentially have the ability to be a client later on. They've joined my mailing list. But if they can't take 5 minutes to answer some questions, knowing that I may not choose them, they're not going to be my divine ideal client.
Yeah.
I want those people that really were hungry for that time with me and were willing to spend that 5 minutes, whether I was going to choose them or not. And I really do feel that when you're beginning as a coach, there's a fair amount of practice you might want to have. But once you get this process down pretty solidly, I would definitely recommend having questions and have that be a little bit of the gatekeeper. Because sometimes people write me and they say, as an example, I help coaches build, a full practice within a year. That is my goal. And every once in a while, because I do talk about speaking and speaking skills, I get people who say, yeah, I want to build a business where I get paid speaking gigs. And it's like, well, I'm not the right coach for you.
Right.
And I went in the right direction before we even meet, because it wouldn't be a good use of her time or mine to have that conversation. And I have a happy colleague that's like, great, this is an ideal client for me. So it's also a vetting process. And what I recommend is for people to come, to have people that they connect people to, so that they're not just saying, oh, you're not a good fit for me.
Right.
So let's not meet, but
good luck.
Really
right.
be able to point them in the right direction.
Yeah. So one of the huge takeaways for me, there's a couple of takeaways. One is about helping people make that decision, really, the elephant, naming the elephant in the room. But also it sounds like a lot of it too is really having conversations with the right people, with people who are ready to work with us and who are excited to work with us.
Absolutely. And the reality is, it's really interesting. I have gotten to the point now. I'm very, very clear on who my ideal client is, and I always say there's the ideal client is really like the bullseye on the dartboard, and then you've got the dartboard.
Right.
So you're always aiming for the bullseye, but then you've got your board, and those people also can be great clients for you. Well, my dartboard and my bullseye are almost the same size at this point. But for many people, that it's not that way. And I totally forgot where I was going with this.
Well, just about having conversations with the right people.
Oh, yeah. So, we want to have all our messaging and everything be to that ideal client, but sometimes we get in a conversation with somebody who's on the dartboard, and what we want to do in the vetting process before we meet with somebody is determine whether there's a possibility they're on the board. If it's very clear that they're not, you let them go. And some of the conversations I've had have been very short, some of them 15, 20 minutes. When I get in and realize what their challenges are, it's not challenges that I are, really solve for my clients, or I'm not excited about solving. And, our goal with these is to really figure out if this is going to be an exciting client for me and I can make a significant difference with them.
So, and that's another great takeaway. It's a two-way street, right? It's not just about
Absolutely.
clients deciding whether they want to work with us, but also whether we want to work with them.
Absolutely.
This is great stuff. One last question. I don't think there's a lot of this conversation in actual coaching schools that I know of, right? Do you think that?
No, there's still.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me because I actually, have some great friends and colleagues that are executives at coaching schools, and I've had this conversation a lot, and they're still teaching people to have sample sessions. And the thing that is interesting about what I just shared with you, this strategy, they are getting really great coaching. They will have an experience of getting great coaching, but it's not a sample session. There is a direction and flow this is going in that will help you decide, both of you decide whether it's a good fit or not a good fit. And I have had many conversations, and I'm puzzled. And I think part of it is because at the heart of it, coaching schools, this is the thing that you and I have talked about, Doug, but there's an archetype called a conversational truth guide. And 80% of coaches are conversational truth guides, which means they love to be in deep conversation, and they're all about honoring the other person and that person's truth and truth in the world. And I think there's this resistance to, quote, sales.
Right.
And they see enrollment conversations, especially a lot of the ones that are taught out there, are kind of manipulative, or,
pressure,
put your
high
money
pressure,
down today,
high
make a
pressure.
decision quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that because of how salesy that is, I think it's like pendulum swings too far in the other direction, and they just want to honor that person and show up as a great coach.
Right.
That, miraculously, that person's going to be enrolled through their brilliant coaching skills. And what I love about the modality that I'm talking about is that it's actually a blend of both of those things, the good of both of those things. They have a great coaching experience. They walk away with value no matter what. They can experience you as a coach, and it takes them through an enrollment conversation at the same time.
I love it.
It doesn't have to be either or.
And let me just say that they should bring you in. These schools should bring you in to be teaching this. Just my
nothing. Well, and that's the thing, is that I do believe that will happen eventually, but there's a lot of resistance around it, and it's interesting to me. It really is. And at the heart of it, part of why I coach coaches is because I know that this is going to help with the ripple effect in the world, by having these people be able to enroll more people and to help more people. It's just having that wonderful ripple effect. And it's part of why I've chosen to do this. And working with coaches who are launching their business is not as profitable as some of the other things I've done in my business, but I choose to do this because I believe in it. And it's really satisfying to see these great people out there giving their gifts and not deciding to go back to full-time jobs because they couldn't make it happen,
Absolutely. And thank you so much. What great wisdom you shared with us today. I want to, at the beginning of the show, you had shared the link again, but can you again give people your website so they can check you out if they want to, if they're ready and excited? Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually on my homepage is a workbook for this, what we just talked about. So it will bring you through how to develop your own template for your particular gift, because the questions you would ask as a wellness coach versus a fertility coach versus a business coach are going to be different, obviously. But you can find that workbook, the free gift, right there on my homepage at broadviewcoaching.com.
Tara Butler Floch, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. I'm so glad to be here and can't wait to come back.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for listening. I want to remind you that if you have not subscribed to the podcast, go ahead and visit iTunes. Takes about 5.2 seconds. Click on the subscribe button and you'll get new episodes Monday through Friday, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at The Coach Sing Show.
Thanks for listening to The Coach Sing Show. Need help getting your book out of your head and onto paper? Need help marketing your books or speaking engagements? We can do it for you. Go to coachsing.com to learn more. Are you a coach singer yet? Join the Coach Singers community where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers meet. You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to coachsing.com/community to join now.